Greetings, you're watching Septum Sen versus the World. I'm Septum Sen, and I'm here with Kotobuki Jake,
Hi.
and we are here to inform you about what's coming out in the semi-near future. That future being...
Which means hopefully next week.
Yeah, October 3rd. So we're getting into the Halloween season.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure. Well, there's a couple of Halloween-y stuff here, but we're not starting off with that. So I will let you start off with what's coming out this time around.
All right, so the first thing I'm premiering is the thing that he's been reviewing lately. Viz Media has a 4-movie collection. Naruto Shippuden, the movie Rasengan collection.
Yep.
And it is the first 4 Shippuden movies. I don't remember the individual titles, but I know Bonds is one of them, right?
Yeah,
and
Bonds and Shippuden the movie.
Shippuden the movie.
Will of Fire and Tower something.
Yeah, the Tower one. Okay, so the first 4 Shippuden movies. As we've said in previous videos, I have not yet tackled Shippuden. I want to. I know the first series, so I know the characters, but it's such a behemoth, I just haven't got to it yet. But since you've recently done the reviews, you should probably take over.
Well, it's been a long time since I've watched the first 2. The first one I have no memory of whatsoever. It struck me that much. The second one I do remember a little bit more. It was actually the only one of the movies, other than the last one, to have Sasuke in it. And Sasuke and Naruto actually team up in it, which is really good. The other 2, standard Sentai, not Sentai, shonen, standard shonen fare movies. Big villain, wahaha, I can overpower you all. Hero goes, stop villain. Some sort of storyline in the background.
Naruto should do a Sentai movie.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious.
But, they did it with Negima, so hey.
Do what?
What was it? It's a Sentai, those are like the Ranger type characters, right? Super Sentai.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so you got the Baka Rangers there.
Oh, yeah, right.
But as far as them, they're pretty decent. I think Bonds was probably the best out of all of them, and as much as I hate Sasuke as a character, it is cool to see them team up. I'm a fan of the original Team 7, which was Sakura, Naruto, and Sasuke, because it was kind of cool to see those interactions. And you get to really see Team 7 for very little of the series before, the thing happens, which I won't spoil.
The thing.
But yeah, not bad. If you want to know anything about as far as what I thought of Naruto movies, 3 on to the last one, which was the Boruto movie. I do have my reviews. You can go back. Go into my playlists. I have a Naruto Shippuden movie playlist. You can just throw them all on the fire and roast them up good. So
see how they burn.
My next one, I used to have this on pre-order, but I'm waiting. I've got too much. I'm trying to stave off my money, and then I had a big Sentai order, which is why I got Sentai on the brain. And you'll be seeing some of that in the pickups.
The media release company, not the Power Rangers.
Yes. So, Dragon Ball Super Part 2. I've got Part 1, and everybody's like really, really up about this series. I think it really is a resurgence of Dragon Ball Z, which GT just couldn't pick. But I haven't really watched it. I've seen the movies. You've seen the movies, so we're both on the equal ground where it comes to this series is concerned. I've heard the animation quality is not as good, but I guess I'll be the judge of that when I eventually watch it. Anything to say on Super?
Not particular. I think we covered it when we talked about Part 1. So
Yep, it's 14 through 26 for those of you keeping track.
All right, it's mine. We have a series called Drifters, which is also a Funimation release. I know almost zilch about this series, but I see you wrote down one of the few things that stuck in my mind. It's from the people that made Hellsing. And it apparently draws together historical figures honestly, the basic setup reminded me of Marvel's Exiles series. Like the idea of different characters pulled together for one series of tasks. That's what I got out of the description. It looks kind of interesting. It looks like if you're a fan of Hellsing, you'd probably get into it. Especially if you like historical drama or riffs on historical drama. But that's really all I have to say on that. That's on the to-watch list, but not really a priority.
Well, this other one is one I know loosely of, which is Danganronpa.
Hmm?
Many of you actually know this series. Well, I say that like there's a lot of you. But if there are a lot of you out there, many of you are probably familiar with the video games. I've actually seen the original anime, and it's moderately decent. And this one is Danganronpa 3, Future Arc. And it's a 12-episode released by Funimation, and it's overpriced. So I'm waiting for it to go down. Eventually I do plan on it.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of goes off, I'm guessing, of the third game. I've never played the third game. I've got the first two games, but I'm not really sure. I mean, it goes into that future to where, despair takes over, and it gets done like that. I like it because it's a little bit dark and gritty. I like dark stuff. You had to bring a prop for that
Visual
one, huh?
effects. I was going to bring one for my next choice too, but I didn't.
So I have one technically for this one too, but it would just be the original series.
Right.
But hey, if you like the series and you got the money, I say check it out.
That's the really twisted one with the evil bear, right?
Yeah, that's the one with the bear that they kill people and all that
I
stuff.
want to see that. I've heard good things about it, but I haven't seen it.
Oh, that's fun. It's fun.
Okay. So the next one, the reason I got up was to get a prop, and he's got this arranged. Actually, my next one, I own the original release, and I was going to bring it, and I forgot to, and I'm very annoyed. But I also own this release, but I'm using his because that was easier. This week sees Nozomi Lucky Penny re-releasing a major series. Speaking of weird and twisted, what's the dude's name again? That is behind this series. He's really famous, and I can't remember his name.
That's that famous, huh?
Well, it's the guy that did Penguin Drum, which is a great, twisted, messed up series. I consider it David Lynch's anime. And then he did Yurikuma Arashi, which is also very weird and twisted.
Yeah.
But the show that really made him famous, other than as a director of Sailor Moon, was this one, Revolutionary Girl Utena. And I believe this is the arc that's being released this week.
Yeah, the school council.
Nozomi Lucky Penny made these really cool sets a while ago, and I managed to pick them up last year I got an awesome deal.
Yeah.
But they're finally being re-released on Blu-ray. So if you like the show, or you're even vaguely curious about a weird, twisted show that is famous among anime fans and fairly influential in anime, definitely check this out. I've only actually watched the movie, which is a really interesting movie.
That's a real mind screw right there.
Oh my god, that was a weird movie.
Yeah, there you go.
But but anyway, it's well worth checking out the series, and this week gives you the opportunity, if you haven't got it already, you can get it on Blu-ray now.
If I didn't have those cool sets, and they're collector sets, and they're awesome in my opinion, I also got them on sale. I would also have gotten them on Blu-ray because it is a beautiful series. Music is cool. The animation is excellent. It's just very strange, the story is. There's a lot of repetition, which you could see a lot in those type of series. But, it was one of the biggest Yuri-type series where you've got two female protagonists in love.
Until he came out with Yurikuma Arashi.
Well, yeah. Well, I still don't say that's bigger than this one, though.
Well, in terms of being a major Yuri series.
Yeah, true.
And all of his series, you said repetition. he uses visual motifs again and again and again. Like Yurikuma Arashi, there's like a honeycomb motif that he uses over and over and over again, and it makes for very stylish shows that are really,
Oh, I mean, they're works of art. I mean, I just finished recording the Hanasaku Iroha reviews, and I talked about the art in that. And this one is very artistic, but in a different way. It's sort of like how you go and you look at a nice, beautiful watercolor painting of a pond in a park, or versus like Salvador Dali's work. Both beautiful in their way, but one having more of a subtle madness to it. So the next one down the list is Hinako. It's only the 3 OVAs. I don't know if there's much more to it than that.
I think it's a one-off, yeah.
But I did think the concept was cool. A real girl gets sucked into the anime world, and she knows people are watching her.
She knows you're out there.
I looked at the cover. I thought it was some sort of like porno or something.
It's kind of a cute. It's like a cutesy cover, but it's very fan servicey at the same time.
Yeah. So.
And this looks like a fascinating show. But yeah, the basic concept is this girl suddenly becomes an anime character. It's kind of, my guess is that it was kind of in a way a Truman Show idea of she's being watched, but she's a fourth wall breaker. Like she's like if Truman Show is tied in with Deadpool or Harley Quinn or something like that, but a cute fan servicey Japanese girl, that sort of thing. If that makes any sense at all, that's what I'm getting from it. So I definitely want to see it, but I doubt this is one that will be worth getting full price.
Yeah, it'll go on sale eventually. Made in Japan goes on sale usually, but they've got some good stuff. I would support their company. If you have the money to get these full price, get them full price. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's great to support these companies. And Made in Japan, it's not a huge company, so I'm sure they could use any dollar that you could give them. And they've released some really good stuff. So, I put no description on there on purpose because I know you know about this series.
Yeah, and this series, again, I have the original released by Sentai Filmworks, and it's a 2-part release. What's coming out this week is the complete collection with both parts, but it's one of the more famous romance dramedies of the past few years. It's called Golden Time. And if I recall correctly, I think it stars Yui Horie as the main character, so that's pretty cool. She's a big... and it basically, the idea is this guy goes to law school, and he meets this other dude that's like a good friend. They become fast friends, and apparently this woman just walks right up one day, slaps the guy across the face with a bouquet of roses, and declares herself his wife-to-be. And apparently things go off in a different direction from there, and there's other old flames involved, and it becomes kind of a twisted little love thing that's kind of, I don't really know too much more about it. And most of what I do know might be mild spoilers for those of you that don't want any spoilers. Like, I read the descriptions of the 2 sets, and set 2 said a whole bunch of stuff that I'm like, wow, this looks like spoiler territory. So, if you don't already have the show, this is your chance to get it all at once, which may be more budget-friendly and certainly will be more space-friendly on the shelf. It's a very highly rated show. I have heard very good things about it. A lot of people put it on list of great romances, great relationship, So definitely worth checking out. And I'm looking forward to finally watching it one day. My copies are sitting there. One day.
Just like my copies of whatever I pick up.
But it is one that I will probably watch sooner than later just because I've heard so much about it. But so that'll be a fun pickup.
Oh, I got a fun one.
Ah, yeah.
Well, for those of you who enjoy the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, past the first one, there's another one.
another one.
It follows the. It's called Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales. So in this one, it follows. What is his name?
Jack Sparrow.
Not Jack Sparrow. Jack Sparrow's in it, and that's the reason
Yeah.
why people keep coming to it, is he keeps playing the character. But it follows the son of the other guy.
The other guy.
The guy Legolas plays.
Orlando Bloom's character,
Yeah.
Will Turner.
Yeah, Will Turner. And so I kept wanting to say Will Scarlet, but it's like, no, that's Robin Hood. But it follows
We
Will
from
Turner's
Georgia.
kid. And if you follow the original trilogy, how it ends, it kind of picks up as sort of like a future tale from that. So as on Stranger Tides was just kind of a odd side story, this one picks up on the main storyline.
okay.
It didn't get a lot of good reviews. I think we're kind of tired of these kind of okay movies. Sadly, I have to wonder whether this series would have been best off just staying dead after the first one. You know, that way it would have ended on a high note, or even just ending after the third one, and then you got the story wrapped up and be like the Matrix trilogy.
Well, it's not like the Matrix trilogy. It's not that precipitous a drop off.
No, but
You know,
it's still, that's a good parallel.
It
to
is a good one because they had the first movie and it was wildly successful, and then they filmed two movies back to back and put them out. And unlike the Matrix movie, though, this one has the tremendous good fortune of not having Keanu Reeves in it. And it has Johnny Depp instead. And not just Johnny Depp. I mean, Jeffrey Rush is back this time around as Barbossa. The new villain, the new big bad, is played by Javier Bardem, who, you know, unless you were one of the 10 people who saw Mother and you now hate Javier Bardem, then he's really awesome. I haven't seen it yet myself, but anyway, and one interesting thing, I didn't realize this, but on Stranger Tides introduced a character, I think his name was Grum, or something like that, who's played by Stephen Graham, who's the guy that plays Al Capone in Boardwalk Empire. So that's kind of an interesting reason for me to see the movie. He's back this time around. I'm waiting to see the new one. Personally, I think the whole series is decent. The second two movies just took themselves too seriously. But the Stranger Tides got a little bit of that freewheeling fun back to it.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping, but the first one was just fun. And it's a shame that the others didn't quite live up to that level of fun.
Yeah, it just,
Yeah.
it's never really
But-
gotten back to form.
Yeah.
And that one's going to eventually go on sale really cheap.
Right.
Because it's just what these movies do eventually. They will go
Oh, hey, Cart.
cheap.
Right.
But
Well, now, speaking of famous and classic and beloved franchises, I have Goon, Last of the Enforcers, which is a sequel, I think 7 years later, a sequel to a movie called Goon, which is a hockey-themed movie starring Sean William Scott. And that tells you right there if you're going to think it's the dumbest thing you ever saw or the greatest. I like Sean William Scott, but he does tend to overplay the role of the idiot. Sometimes he does it good when he's right on, but sometimes he overplays it, and but he is really good at playing the good-natured idiot.
well, this movie says it. Oscar right here.
But it's got some good people in it. And certain aspects, I think Alison Pill plays his wife. And they brought back almost the full cast from the first movie, which is, I'm intrigued by this. I never saw the first one. Hockey doesn't usually scream, "Watch me." It really doesn't. I'm not a hockey person. But I feel like if I get to watch this one for free one day, I'll probably give it a look.
Oh, go to
But-
Netflix eventually or something
Yeah.
like that. Some streaming
Yeah.
site will pick it up.
Right.
Speaking of streaming sites, and
One
I
of your
believe this one
favorites.
actually is. I actually believe this one actually is on some streaming sites,
Uh-huh.
which is Cult of Chucky, which
Uh-huh.
is the new Child's Play movie.
Yeah.
I actually have a kind of a dark fascination with these films. I mean, the first film was actually pretty scary until the doll opened its mouth. Before then, though, it actually had a creepy air to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the way that they played it off, they did a good job of making it into a horror movie, which was something that was hard to do. The rest of the movies were more comedies than horror. And Curse of Chucky came around.
Mm-hmm.
And Curse of Chucky actually showed us that, yes, Chucky can be scary. So, that in and of itself was really cool. Cult of Chucky, I don't know. I've never seen it. I want to see it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really debating getting the item that Jacob is going to talk about next.
I sure don't want to lump them.
Well, I mean, I could lump them together.
I mean,
there's
it's up to you.
I mean, it's a collection.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to get it on Blu-ray. I mean, right now mine are kind of separated. I've got Curse of Chucky somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Child's Play somewhere, and then I've got the Child's Play collection somewhere, which has doesn't have the first film, which is kind of stupid. Has basically the second film up through Seed of Chucky, but I wouldn't mind getting it all in a compact Blu-ray collection. So I'm looking at that. I want to say that Shout Factory is releasing it. I could be wrong. But if they are, then it would even be more of a reason to get it.
Mm-hmm.
It'd just be good to have them all together and all upgraded to Blu-ray. The first one is a classic, and Curse of Chucky, again, return to the horror, and the rest are really just good fun. I mean, to me, they're enjoyable. I mean, I did a review on the Camp Blood series not long ago, and they also skirted the line between well done horror, good fun, and boring. And this one doesn't go boring. Maybe Cult of Chucky does. So I would definitely be interested in seeing this whole thing.
Now, am I remembering correctly that his bride is voiced by Jennifer Tilly?
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about having trouble taking people seriously in a horror movie. She's quite helium voiced, but it would be interesting. But and since we did not explicitly state it, this Chucky Complete Collection does bring all of them together, including Cult of Chucky. And this is an example of why collections sometimes, even for people like us that really like to be able to see everything when you're looking, this is really good because we're also OCD about putting things alphabetically.
Yeah.
And we like having sets that can be arranged properly on the shelf. So if they're all in a box in the right order, it's nicer than when they're all scattered around.
No chewing on the wires.
Mr. Larson.
See, now you have to get on the camera.
Hey.
See that?
Yes.
All right. Well, because we lumped those together, that means you can talk about one of your favorite actors, and then one of your favorite sex fiends.
So, the follow-up to last year's Oscar-winning role for everyone's favorite actor, Casey Affleck, is a weird movie called A Ghost Story. And I do want to see this, but I have a feeling that even I will see my patience tested by this one. Apparently there is a scene where Rooney Mara sits there eating a pie.
Well,
and that's the scene.
But see,
and that's like...
But you love Rooney Mara.
I do like Rooney Mara.
And you like Casey Affleck.
And this is very, very talented cast. But the basic premise of the movie is you have a young couple, Affleck and Mara, and Affleck dies, making women everywhere ecstatic. But then he comes back. Then he comes back, making women everywhere unhappy.
To harass women everywhere now. But he
comes back as a voyeuristic ghost, but the old school cartoon ghost where it's a sheet with holes, and that's it. And apparently he just sits around watching Mara go through the motions of dealing with grief and loss. And I've heard that it's a really emotional and affecting movie, but I've also heard that it's hard to watch.
Art house pick.
Art house to the extreme. So if that's your cup of tea, Check it out. But I'll bet a lot of people are going to pick this up thinking, oh, a Halloween film, and be very pissed.
Well, it does have a scary ghost on the front cover.
Yes.
And when I actually looked at the cover, and then I looked at the cast, and then I
Right.
read the description, it was like, okay, I'm having some dissonance
Right.
here.
Actually, I think this was one I was introduced to through NPR, so they'll tell you a little bit there, too.
So this one's one I need to get into eventually. I don't like police procedurals because they're market's oversaturated with them. But this one is an interesting concept, which is iZombie.
And
This
I
is-
don't like zombie films because the market's oversaturated.
Exactly. I mean, even I'm getting tired of zombie films at this point. This one, basically in a world filled with zombies, if they eat brains or something like that, they continue to go on and live their lives productively as zombie people. And it stars somebody who works for the police who is a zombie, and she eats their brains and gets knowledge and the crime and does things like that. And it's in its third season, so I guess it's okay.
Well, it's been very highly rated.
I just don't have time for it, and as soon as I hear the word police procedural, my mind just goes,
Well, maybe this will help
Yeah.
a little bit because you were the one that turned me on to Pushing Daisies, and this reminds me a little bit of that idea. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, I like Pushing
Yeah.
Daisies, and it was less of a police procedural.
right.
I guess it's the lightest version of a police procedural, but it was much more of a fairy tale.
Right.
I
Well, very
thought.
much. But the same basic idea though of someone being able to get the last thoughts of a victim and being able to use that to help. Yeah.
See, I always see this as like NCIS, except instead of the goth girl being as goth as she is, they decided, let's dial it up and make her ultra goth. Let's just kill her off and make her a zombie. And that just is. But
We probably just offended some guys.
or NCIS and fans in general. Hey, if you like it, you like it. I mean, if there's another season of it, I'll report on it. But don't ask me to report on it favorably.
Well, NCIS.
Yeah.
Oh, there'll be plenty more seasons.
So, actually, you get an entertaining one.
Yes. Okay. I still have not seen the third one here.
Neither have I.
I've seen the first two, but anyway, another collection, another condensing of other things that have come before, is this week we are seeing the Expendables collection, which is all 3 films. And for those of you who are thus far uninitiated in this series, the first 2 movies are wonderful 80s action movie dreck
Oh.
that's just a lot of fun. And they had the cast. I mean, geez, the cast they got together for these movies. And I think the third one introduces Kelsey Grammer and Harrison
Yeah.
Ford and Nick Cage, doesn't it?
As a
That
friend
was like-
of mine once called it the action grandpa movie.
Exactly.
Um,
Of course, you got Sylvester Stallone and Jason Statham at the center of the cast, and you've got such individuals as Chuck Norris and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis and Jet Li and just all these different people mixed up in these
Yeah.
movies, and they're really not high art by any means, but they're a lot of fun.
Yep.
Especially if you like action with
Yeah.
bad, cheesy one-liners and lots of killing and explosions. You gotta watch this series.
From what I've heard, it actually takes itself less seriously as it goes on. I haven't seen the third one, but that's what I've gotten. And the second one, the first one was okay, but it tried to take itself seriously. The second one stopped doing that, and I have to admit, it was great. I mean, there's this scene where Arnold and Chuck Norris are going at it, and they're each basically saying the other one's one-liners as they're doing the action. And Chuck Norris is making some of those old Chuck Norris jokes that people are going around. I mean, it really is. I think they've gotten to that point. I really do want to see the third one, and it's on my list. It's in my collection.
Mm-hmm.
So, another series that I've seen actually a little bit of,
I
which
need to
is
see this one.
House of Cards. It's very well rated,
Mm-hmm.
political drama,
Mm-hmm.
and I've heard it gets strange in some cases. You okay, Cat?
Talking about strange.
Season 5 of this particular series,
Mm-hmm.
which is again, it's a good series from what I've been told. A lot of darkness, a lot of intrigue.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very heavy, and I have a hard time finding time for heavy series that I don't own. But if you want it, get it. I mean, Netflix is putting some of their series out on DVD, and I actually am glad to see Daredevil's out on DVD.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica Jones, some of those.
Yeah. Not to mention that, of course, House of Cards, great cast. It stars Robin Wright and Kevin Spacey. I mean, as a power-hungry senator. I mean, geez, you know, who's better to play that role than Kevin Spacey? So, not to mention that a lot of it is filmed in Northern Virginia. When I went to the casting call for Turn, I stood in line with a young lady that I chatted with for a bit, and she said she'd worked on House of Cards. I'm like, I wish I could do that. But it's like, but yeah, we have people in this area who can actually claim that as a credit. So that's really cool. You know, so I definitely want to see that one day. But my next one, unfortunately, is one I probably never will get around to seeing. It's called Atomica, and you wrote creepy power plant thriller. That's about all I got out of it.
Well, I mean, I could tell you what I remember the summary pretty well. It was
I don't.
a power plant goes offline, and so this person's sent out to investigate it, and
yeah.
And there's more and more doubts as they're trying to fix this power plant, put it back online, that that the people there are working with a full deck. And that's pretty much the whole of it.
Hmm?
It's
Sounds about right.
So, but that's it. So
Pretty weak rating. Yep.
So, well, that was simple. So, one that you probably have more to say on than I am, because
I'm
it's very
intrigued by
artsy,
this one.
which is Book of Henry. I mean, it's got this genius kid, and he's trying to live his life, and it's a drama, and that's about all. And it's probably Oscar bait, and I don't know how well it did in theaters.
Not so well in theaters.
That's, but I'm curious. I mean, like I say, to me, I looked at the previews when it was starting to come out, and it really did come across as Oscar bait to me. I don't know about you, but that's just... Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, Naomi Watts movies have a very bad track record at the Oscars. Or, at the very least, she has a very bad track record. She has been gypped twice. And yet, her role for The Impossible, she did good, but I don't know. But she should have been up for Mulholland Drive, and she should have been up for Birdman. But this one, she plays the boy's mother. And his younger brother is played by Jacob Tremblay, who was the co-star of Room, which was another great movie. But this one, apparently the kid learns that the young lady next door is being abused. And apparently he and his mother cook up some sort of not-so-pleasant scheme to set her free. That's my understanding of the story. And it looks like it's gotten a mixed reaction. It looks like the kind of movie that I would definitely be very interested in seeing, but I don't know if I should expect it to be great. I probably won't, but I'll get to it one of these days. And I mean, if nothing else, I'm a huge Naomi Watts fan, so I'm usually willing to give her stuff at least a look. So,
I've actually combined the next one for you, so you can combine those.
Okay.
Because it's part 1 and 2 of it.
Yes, because whoever's releasing Vikings decided, screw the single collections per season.
Cash grab.
We're going to split it and get that money. Well, Vikings Season 4 is coming out in 2 parts. And I believe I've mentioned in a previous video, a pickup video, we covered Vikings because I got Season 1.
Farker.
I don't really know that much about it beyond what I already said, that it's basically we said History Channel, right?
Yep.
A History Channel drama with a pretty good cast about Vikings. That's really all you need to know. If you like historical dramas, if you like Vikings, it's gotten really good ratings and it's probably worth watching. I will one day get to season 4, but I'm hoping by then they will have released a complete series for that season. Yes.
They're all going to be split into even thinner parts. Each episode will have a set.
I hate when they do that. They did that with Venture Brothers. They got to season 4 and said, "Oh, let's do 2 parts."
That way we can charge you $40 a piece,
Exactly.
and you get $80 a season.
And actually, well, I get to Vikings shortly after I watch Venture Brothers.
Maybe by then, you can get them at pawn shops or something.
Okay.
Speaking of series that have been longer, American Horror Story Season 6. I'm actually glad we switched up. I've actually seen some of Season 6.
This is Roanoke, right?
Yeah, it's the Roanoke one.
Yeah.
I actually like how they did it. I do this every season. Me and my wife, we sit down to watch it, and then about 3/4 of the way through, we stop and move on to something else.
And he even did it when I tried to watch it with them. What, 3 episodes left of Freak Show?
I've actually gotten up to Freak Show now. I've watched every season all the way through up to Freak Show. I've still got Freak Show in my collection. I've actually got all the American Horror Story seasons 1 through 5. But this one comes following Hotel, and it's not like Hotel. Hotel was so hard to watch because of the gore level. I had to say no more. I might try it again eventually because it's gotten so much acclaim, but I had to sit it out. It was just that bad.
And this irritates me because I'll probably never watch Hotel.
Well, hey, Lady Gaga.
I know, but if it's the way that it's been described.
Oh, the whole I'm not going to say it. It's a rape scene with metal objects.
Yes.
But this one actually is pretty good. It's sort of like a combined haunted house or haunted land story, and it really is. It was fascinating to me. I don't know why we stopped. But I will eventually pick this up, and when I do an American Horror Story run through, I'll get through Freaks, I'll get through Hotel, and I'll get through this one. I've been watching the new season. It's actually kind of scary. Well, they're all kind of scary, but this one's scary in a different way because it involves a lot of politics.
Well, the new one's Cult, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The promo art looked pretty creepy, but from what I saw of Freak Show, it's a well-made series, and the cast is phenomenal. But it's I need to see more of it. I just don't know. I may skip Hotel and just watch the rest of it, but
definitely watch season 1 and 2. They are excellent. I think you would also enjoy a Coven because I know you would like Coven.
Coven's the third one, right?
Yep.
And Asylum is the second?
Asylum is second.
Okay.
And then, of course, the Murder House is the first one.
Okay.
Very well done series. Very well acted. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it.
Okay.
And it is up to roll.
So, I've got a movie called City of Ghosts.
That actually would be up
And you were talking about Oscar bait movies.
Yeah, that's Oscar bait.
This looks good. It's apparently a follow-up.
Did that one get a nod?
Is that a follow-up to?
Yeah.
Rapa is being slaughtered silently is apparently what it's based on. But it's by the same guy who directed an Oscar-nominated doc called Cartel Land. And Cartel Land is really good. If you get a chance to watch it, it is a very well-made documentary. And City of Ghosts looks really good. It looks hard to watch. Most good documentaries are hard to watch because the point of a documentary is to inform, but also in many cases to inspire action, and that often happens because you watch this stuff and you're like, the hell is going on in the world? So this looks like it'll be in that vein. I'm definitely going to try to watch it. I will not be in the slightest bit surprised if it's an Oscar nominee this coming year. But definitely, for those of you who enjoy your documentaries or who just want to see a little bit about what's going on in the Middle East or just want to be up on the Oscar race, definitely check this one out. Yeah.
So, let's talk about another thing. Actually,
yes, another thing.
But before it is that one was the one that followed up the one where they actually got filmed in an ISIS-dominated town, and that's like difficult to do.
Yeah.
I mean, people were under threat of life because of that, and then this one follows up in the aftermath, like I think after it's been taken back and all that. But the one up next, it really kind of it threw me for a loop because I was expecting the movie Game Change, which I believe is the Sarah Palin one.
I think you skipped one.
Oh,
did? But they're both Asian, so
I'll do that one. You can do the one above it then.
Okay.
Which is the Game Changer. So, and this is not the Sarah Palin one. I think this one's a Chinese, or it's about Chinese, and the other one is like Korean. But this one's, Chinese gangland, about these two people who escape from prison, and they join this gang, and this Chinese mafia gang, and the people backstabbing each other and shooting everybody, and then I'm sure that there's like some sort of no, I can't say that. I was gonna say martial arts stuff, but that's kind of racist to say that. But it's gonna be like stuff flying off the walls and people throwing like cream pies at each other's faces and
I don't think this is a Stephen Chow movie.
And dogs having kung fu fights and stuff.
That might be in the new Wes Anderson film, Isle of Dogs.
I want to see that one.
Takes place in Japan, I think.
Actually, I want to see most of the. I want to see most of what anything Wes Anderson. I want to see at least of original.
I was looking at the cast of that. I was like, oh, holy crap! Okay, so the next one is also an Asian film called Fabricated City, and it's apparently the from what I understood of it. It sounds almost kind of like it's in the whole Sword Art Online sort of vein of someone who kind of gets pulled into a game. But this is a Korean film, and it's about an ordinary guy who kind of gets in too deep to his video games, if I understood correctly. I don't know if this is one that I will get around to seeing or that I'll prioritize. I know very little about it. But I've enjoyed almost all the Korean cinema I've seen, and might be worth a look if I get a chance.
Well, this one actually lines up pretty well, because I'm pretty sure that you have a lot more to say about the last one than I do. And I have absolutely nothing to say about the one here, but I don't think you have a lot to say about it either, which is Sniper Ultimate Kill. Now, this is another balls-to-the-wall action film about people getting together and they're taking on a drug ring and they're firing bullets and they got cats with lasers shooting out their eyes and
cats with freaking lasers,
and food fights and people like jumping around naked, screaming and throwing grenades and stuff.
You got a lot more out of this than I did from looking at IMDb. I mean,
and I'm sure there's kung fu fighting, because kung fu fighting is the best thing to add to any action film.
And after all, snipers are known for hand-to-hand combat.
Hey, they are in these films. And Go Army and Jajo and all that stuff. And probably it's none of that really. It's just standard action film.
Yeah.
But,
basically, all I got from this is, let's Sniper Ultimate Kill. My God, that's a boring title. I'll bet the movie will be just as boring. Next! That's all I
livened it up. If they do all the stuff that I said, it's going to be worth watching, I tell you.
I don't think they did all that in Expendables.
You don't know. They could have cat lasers. You didn't see the third movie.
That's true. No, they're saving that for the fourth one, I bet.
Yeah.
Anyway, the last one we have on the list is one that I actually saw, and I was like, this looks interesting. This looks really interesting. It's I don't remember if it's actually won any awards or gotten. I think it got some nominations, but the last one on our list is a TV movie that came out very recently called Wizard of Lies, which stars Robert De Niro as everyone's favorite ass named Bernie Madoff.
Ah.
And it also co-stars Michelle Pfeiffer. So right there, you've got a drama about this guy who screwed over tons of people,
36
who had the perfect name for this. I mean, Madoff, really? Would you trust your money to someone whose name is Madoff?
He made off with it.
Exactly. And no offense if anyone watching actually was suckered by this guy. Well, whatever. But then you also had Robert De Niro and Michelle Pfeiffer, and it's going to be worth watching. I am definitely on the lookout for this one when it comes out. I doubt I'll get it anytime soon, but if I see a good deal on Black Friday, that sounds like a good possibility. More likely I'll pick it up randomly somewhere down the road, but it definitely looks like it'll be worth a look. And if nothing else, I mean, Robert De Niro is one of the best represented actors in my movie collection, so I'm always on the lookout for new worthwhile credits for him. So,
Oh, well.
yeah.
And who knows? Maybe they have cat lasers.
Yeah.
Well, he was rich enough. He could have bought cat lasers.
Yeah. I guess, watch out. You're going to end up buying lasers for your cats, aren't you?
Yeah, well, that's how they do it. They actually, that's how they're going to take over. But with that being said, that's what you've been filled in for the week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing around with Windows Movie Maker, and I'm failing. But we're working on this. We've improved lighting at least.
Yes.
So if you like this video, of course, thumbs up. Please share us. We want to try and get more subscribers. Again, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. You can even click on the little bell if you want. It'll tell you when we release, which is pretty often, actually, because I do reviews almost daily. I've got a whole bunch of them backed up that I've filmed, and we're getting ready to start our Camp Blood series, which is going to be a nice series of reviews. And if you haven't checked out these movies, definitely check them out. And because it takes you through that series takes you through the gamut. I mean, it's like, I mean, you're like, awesome, great movie. You're laughing at points, you're bored at points, which is the low point of it. But and then you're back to that action again. So of course, comment. You have any comments to tell us about these videos or about like the releases? Any one of these you're looking forward to getting? Let me know. Did we miss one? I've missed them occasionally. Definitely leave a comment.
There was one that got a midweek release. I think it's coming out in 2 days, but I can't remember the title. It was on Right Stuff's collection.
Oh, what was it?
I can't remember the title.
Oh, was that 009 or whatever?
No.
Because that was a midweek release.
No, it was every now and then there'll be a midweek release, and we tend to not always see those. But there is one. It's on Right Stuff's page. I don't remember the title. I don't remember anything about it.
Do the math.
I just know that it's coming out soon.
All right. Well, we will see you on the next one.
Right.